Hi everyone, I'm Dale and this is Mel. And if you've been watching us for a while, you'll know that I always start with a story and then Mel does this. Mel, point the right way because it looks different on the screen. Mel always comes in with the mostly sensible stuff, and then kind of sensible stuff. And then I come back in with some journaling things. So today we're going to talk about this thing about, we're going to call it body language, but not body language in that you might think of when you go on an NLP course, or with how people build rapport and stuff like that. Although we are building rapport with our bodies, but this is about the language that we use when we speak to ourselves, because if we're using negative language, we're being very judgmental. And our body hears everything. So I don't know if most people have heard of a guy called Bruce Lipton, and I think the other person, Candice Pert. So Candice Pert talks about the molecules of emotion, and Bruce Lipton talks about the biology of belief. I think I've got that the right way around. I'm sure I have. But if you think about the biology of belief, he talks about all kinds of things, but he talks about our cells. And I truly believe, our cells, well, obviously there's little bits inside our cells that are smaller and probably smaller and smaller and smaller and into infinity. I don't want to go there. When my mind starts thinking about the smallest bit, it's like, really? I'm sure there's a smaller bit.
I've just gone into Buzz Lightyear mode. It's all right.
I do it all the time, Mel. It's like when someone says, because I say a lot, the cell is the smallest part of you. And actually, when you look at a cell, it's not, because it's made up of lots of things. However, we're digressing. But, what these people are basically saying is our cells are tuning in all the time. And if a cell is the smallest part of us, conceivably, the smallest part of us, that makes up tissues and organs and the systems of our body that makes us human, and if it's listening to all the rubbish that we are talking about, then it's impacting every part of our body. And I'm a great believer now that when we suppress our emotions, it comes out in dis-ease. So if we speak to our body in a really hideous, ugly way, then what can we expect than things to not kind of work right? And I found some pictures the other day. I'm like a twiglet, right? Twiglet. I'm not very big now, but I was a twiglet. But out of all of my body, for some reason, I picked on my arms. My arms were ugly, they were fat, and I constantly, if anyone said anything like, why have you got a long top on? I hate my arms, all the time. And I remember going to the gym and being so upset because the weights that I lifted, biceps and triceps and, you name it, I did it. And I used to stand there and think, oh, I've got no muscles anymore. Where's those muscles? And I actually had quite a muscly body. If anyone can hear a noise, my oldest dog has decided that he's going to sit beneath my desk. So I'm propped up on a ball quite a distance from my desk, so he's probably going to scrabble around a little bit, but with any luck he'll go to sleep. So I spent most of my time absolutely hating my arms. So there's this skinny little girl who's now going to the gym going, oh, I need to do something. And I doubt you could find a photo of me anywhere where I have deliberately bought a strapless dress. Everything is always covered. And it's only now when I'm older, and I've been through a lot, when my spine fractured, I had to do that whole thing of looking in the mirror and going, body, I love you. Thank you for healing me. Body, I love you. And all I could see was this kind of like misshapen creature with no muscle tone. But I've learned to be a different way. And something happened, I think it was yesterday or the day before I saw it. And Facebook is a great melting pot of stuff. And somebody had written, I don't recall who, somebody had written something about If you could change one thing about your body, what would it be? And I don't know if they were the correct words that the person wrote. But then what followed was, I hate my tummy. Oh my God, my legs, my whatever it is. And then somebody wrote, I hate my arms. And I thought, oh, I used to do that. And it brought back so many memories of me just being this complete nutter who, like, I wanted to have my arms operated on. You know, like people would have plastic surgery to get rid of all the stuff under here and all that stuff. I wanted plastic surgery on my arms because I hate.
What did you want doing?
I wanted them to be thin. I wanted them to be thinner and muscly. They were muscly, but in my mind, what I saw was a little thin body with big fat arms. And that's totally not true. I used to watch women and think, I mean, now we've all, you know, as you get a little bit older, you get your old bingo wings. But I never had them. But I believed that I did. I totally believed that my arms were like the ugliest things. Like I used to sit there and go, who screwed these ugly arms on my body? Honestly, Mel, you don't want to be a visitor inside here. But I spent years doing that, you know, and I would look at women and I think, you can't wear that. Your arms are on show. All the time. I just was completely fixated by people's arms. And that stuff on Facebook kind of really brought that up. But just watching mostly ladies claiming to hate, mostly it was the hate word, parts of their body. And it just, first of all, it feels like a competition. Everyone's going, oh yes, I hate my tummy. Oh yes. It's like everyone, you know, there's this long string of kind of like Me Too. And that then reminded me of a conversation I had with my mum. So my mum has had 7 fractures in her spine. And they didn't catch her fractures in time. So she is very, very curved. I mean, truly, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone with a spine curved like my mum's. And she's only little and she's shrinking. But her tummy, as a consequence of this, is absolutely enormous. And one of the things that my mum does, where if I say, oh, I've eaten something I shouldn't and my tummy's swollen, she always says, I'll swap you my tummy any day. Mine is in, and it's like I haven't had a chance to finish my sentence, but hers is worse. Hers is bigger. And it's like, I don't know whether she needs to be heard, you know, that expression of, and I know she's ever so upset. I mean, she truly is, you know, she can't do her dancing anymore. She used to do a form of Spanish flamenco. And she's got the most amazing hip movements and, you know, everything. And all of that has been taken away from her because her body shape has changed. And I think people do that. You know, if I mean, I don't talk about my body to people, except I'm talking to you and whoever watches the video. But it's it's a bit judgmental. If I said to someone, oh, I've got like a big tummy or a saggy bum or whatever, and someone says, but mine is worse. Well, surely I'm allowed to express how I feel about my body without being judged, or I don't know what the words are, but there just seems to be a whole load of stuff around this language.
There's a whole load of stuff in there. Yeah. And it's like, ooh, where to begin? And I think you're right in terms of, let's say your mum, for example, if she's not feeling heard, or this is something that she's struggling with and she doesn't know how to deal with it. No, we can project that in all sorts of different ways, can't we? We can go from, you know, oh, nobody cares about me and your problems aren't anything. This is what I've got to deal with, to somebody not being able to talk about it at all. And it's all internalized. My head's kind of going all over the place here as I'm thinking about this. So, but there's also an element here of it's a way of bonding to people when you're mentioning, you know, in that group, and that sort of, it's like critical bonding, isn't it? It's finding something that's common between you, which kind of helps you think I get the idea that it's, it's not just me. I'm not alone in this, so we can all wallow in this pity party together.
God, yes,
And I
yeah.
don't mean that in a sort of,
No, no, no.
disrespectful, harsh way, because I see this a lot as well in terms of being so critical towards our bodies. It kind of feels safer if we can do that together. So often I will hear of women, collectively talking relentlessly about their diets and their bodies. And when one starts, we all, not we, but people kind of jump in on that. And it's, oh yeah, God, it's so bad. And then of course it's but you're not fat. And there's an element of, you're not fat. Hey, look at this, it's not as bad as mine. Or not allowing people to go, do you know what, I just don't feel comfortable today. And there's a real element of dis-ease and discomfort around people going, I don't like my body, and having this need that, we need to fix it then. If you don't like your body, fix it, change it. And that's the bit that kind of really frustrates me, because that isn't always possible. In fact, for the most part, it isn't possible to change your body. And I think change comes from within, in terms of this is how we see ourselves. And there may well be, body dysmorphia in there. There may well be, just sort of contorted views that we have of ourselves, which lends itself to us being continually self-critical. And then there's the whole self-sabotage can of worms. So it's messy, isn't it? It's messy.
Well, I would imagine for you as a nutritionist that if someone's in the, I've got a fat tummy, or I'm fat, whatever, and I hate my body, and and they're talking to themselves in a weird way club, that by the time they get to you, that it will have affected their ability to eat, to nourish their body. So, you often talk about emotional eating. I can imagine that, let's say someone wants to go to a party. They go to the shop to buy a dress. They try everything on. Nothing fits. Their arms are like whatever. Their tummy's fat. They try body shaping underwear. Nothing is right. They're going to come home and go, do you know what? I'm so pissed off. Open the fridge, stuff my face, or open a bottle of wine, and it becomes a vicious circle. And then they go to like some kind of slimming club, and then they're in another club of everyone standing in a queue going, oh, what have you eaten today? Is it a red or green day? Or how many points? I don't, I have no idea what all of them do. But again, they're now in a club where everyone is striving to control something. And to me, it feels like out of control. The whole thing feels completely out of control. And I can imagine that as a nutritionist, everyone knows me, I can't be a nutritionist, because it's like, I've always said, it's just like, stop eating rubbish. Well, like, what's your problem? And I do the same to me, if I've got a packet of biscuits or something, and, at the beginning of lockdown, I stuffed my face with chocolate, which it's like, why am I eating chocolate? Well, I know why, psychologically. And then one day I just went, I don't want it anymore. But I eat healthily, but I can't. It's like someone says anything to me, it's like, just stop eating it. Like, what don't you understand? I admire you, because I can't do it. But you've got all of that, sorry Mel, but you've got all of that coming to you when someone sits in front of you. It's not only what they're eating, it's the language they use, it's the clubs that they're in, it's the control. There's all sorts of stuff going on. I couldn't do your job.
When they come to me, they're genuinely feeling out of control.
Yes.
Out of control with their body, their eating. And they will say to me, I just need to eat better. And to me, that you just need to eat better, that someone else might have said to them, it's like a slap in the face. It's like you just need to eat better. You just need to be better. You need to do better. And it's like, for me, that's not helpful. Because if we did what we thought, we'd be fine, wouldn't we?
I know. I mean, I'm sitting here from a, he's bashed his head, oh, poor old Ferd. I'm sitting here from a perspective of having gone through all of that. I mean, I do truly understand, and I use myself as a joke in that. I've studied nutrition, I've taken all these courses, and then I've sat there and gone, well, it's been worthwhile for me to understand the body from a nutritional perspective. but I truly know it's not something that I can do. But when it comes to writing and journaling and getting people like really connected into their bodies when it has nothing to do with food, I've got all of the patience in the world. So it's coming to me from a different angle. I just find the whole eating thing, I find it weird, because I'm not going to tell you my age, I'm here at this age, I've been through it. I can remember, I used to work in the tax office, guys. I used to work in the tax office, and what did I eat for lunch every day for years? Go on. What did I eat for lunch every day for years? Can you guess?
Tuna salad.
No. Hazelnut yogurt, had to be from Tesco's, and a banana. And it only had to be a banana of a certain length, right? Every day for years. I used to sit next to this lovely lady who's now passed to spirit, and she would be just like trying to teach me how to I can remember her trying to teach me to make cheese sauce, so I'd eat something different. And I remember she came in one day with this Belgian bun and said, "Eat it." And it's like, you've got to be joking. I'm not singing that anyway, this twiglet body. I've been through all of that destructive, crappy behavior. I truly have. And it was, you see, the way I look at it is we come to better nutrition and nourishing and ourselves as an awakening. For me, it was being, getting ill. And also I realized that, for me, that dis-ease was about suppressing emotions, but it's also connected to what I ate. But what I did is when I had my first wake-up call, it was like, okay, I'm looking at the emotional side of my life, but I also then looked at the nutritional stuff and said, and I asked the question, do I love myself enough to do something about it? And it's been bloody hard, Mel.
Yeah.
It's been really hard. I went and took nutrition, naturopathic nutrition, to become a nutritionist so I could heal my body. It's like I had to know how everything worked. And
you see, for me, there's a direct link. It like dovetails together in terms of eating and our body image.
Yeah.
And I think in diet culture that they're very distinct. There, in terms of it is about control. It's all of the external, outwardly facing motivators in terms of food, in order to change our body. And for me, you've got to approach them kind of together.
Yeah.
And if we're looking at nourishing your body, this is where intuitive eating comes in terms of, if we're going to be intuitive and respect our body to kind of eat when we're hungry, stop when we're full, allow ourselves unconditionally to nourish our body with the foods that it genuinely wants. And that might be, a Magnum ice cream one day. Yeah. It might be a banana with a tuna salad another day. But there's got to be that self-compassion there to allow yourself to look after yourself. And it's exactly the same with our body image. We've got to be more compassionate with it, not attacking it with what I've seen more recently as I've sort of, got into my yoga zen zone, but I'm now seeing adverts for yoga burn, melt that fat away, blast your body, shred it, sculpt it. And it's just like, oh my God, I got this vision of like knives attacking your body. Like it's some form of punishment.
I'm scared already.
Which is, I'm quite new to yoga. I'm not a yogi and, but I'm loving it. I'm loving how it is kind of nourishing my mind and my body. It's bringing me calm. But it's like, I get that yoga's not about that, but now it's being manipulated. It's being now shoved down people's throats and says, hey, but you can change your body through yoga because it's cool at the moment. Let's be cool and zen, and you can sculpt your body and change it. And it's really attacking and harmful. I think that just instigates this, work harder, your body's not good enough, crack the whip out, change it. And for me, because I've done a lot of work around self-compassion, my kind of, gurus are Paul Gilbert and Kristen Neff, who've done so much around, self-kindness and mindfulness and so on. And it's like, as we deal with our inner critics, I used to kind of go, fuck off, you know, to my inner critic, get knotted, not talking to you. And now it's like, do you know what? I will treat my inner critic with self-compassion, because that's more helpful. And I go, look, you know you're looking after me. I know you want the best for me, but let's just simmer it down a bit. Let my inner mentor come out, you know. And this isn't wooey stuff. This is genuine kind of neuroscience, isn't it? In terms of how we talk to ourselves and actually motivate ourselves from within. And that to me is what enables change, in not in a physical, you need to change, but how we change our perspective.
It seems to me, Mel, like what a hard task for anybody to bring like their mind, body and soul together to come to that place of kindness, peace and compassion. And then, like you just said, you know, when you've got yoga people who are, I mean, those words that you use, I'm sitting there going, I mean, I haven't been able to do yoga for a while, and but I did yoga for years and years and years. And for me, it was about the philosophy. The asanas were just part of it. The rest of it is, you know, I used to love going to yoga class. And I can remember one beautiful teacher every week, you know, there'd be a session on, you know, some aspect of breath, but also some aspect of the philosophy. And it's an amazing whole life system. But it's like, you know, you could take anything, any exercise, and somebody's going to have twisted it and changed it. And, you know, one of the adverts I see on telly is some, I think it's called Peloton or something, and people are on a bike going like absolutely mental. And I'm thinking, oh, you've got to be joking. And I saw another video the other day of people on a bike, and actually their stomach muscles must have been amazing, because they were holding onto the handlebars and then lifting their legs either side. I'm going,
I've seen that.
You were joking. Like, how, to me, going for a bike ride is going out in the countryside and actually enjoying Mother Nature. And I know cycling is great for burning whatever you want to burn, but but you can take anything and you can change it and play to people's fears. And that again is about the language. So there's the language that we're using on ourselves. Every cell is listening to it. And then there's the language of all those people out there, they're going, like you just said, with all the funny yoga thingies, like, you know, we got to do this. We got to burn all these things away. And I'm like, ooh, I mean, I've done it all, Mel. You know, I've been to those horrible spinning classes and all that yucky stuff. But what I found over the years was, as soon as I found yoga and Pilates and that real, I don't want to do that anymore. And actually my body shape was amazing doing that, because, you know, you're not, I mean, the years that I was in the gym lifting heavy weights going, oh, look at the state of me, I'm so fat. There's nothing wrong with me.
I think, you know, for whatever exercise people choose, it's a really personal thing. So I'm really loving running. Like for the first time, I don't know how long, I'm loving running, and I go running with Joey, and it's kind of, I'm doing it as I listen to my body. I'm focusing on the things that bring me joy. So we will do exercise for all sorts of reasons. And for some people, they'll love that sort of high intensity buzz that it gives you. But I guess I'm always there to kind of go, as long as you're doing it for, I would say, the right reasons. I don't like to talk about rules, but this isn't about, you know, forcing your body, punishing your body, sort of bargaining with it in terms of, hey, I'll beat the hell out of it, and then I can have, you know, I'll have a few glasses of wine and an ice cream tonight. That's that bargaining, and sort of isn't the right way to do it.
I'm laughing because I've got this picture of an ex-husband in my head telling me off because I exercised so much, and I can't hang on. And I can't remember the words he said to me about, because I was completely fixated. You know, I was up in the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was doing, you know, if I went away on business, I would take like all these little gym kits and things with me and hang things over doors and be there. Or I go and find a bodybuilding gym that I could go to, honestly. And I'm sure he was, I can't remember what he said to me, but I'm sure he's very concerned about this strange creature that he was with. But I just had this image in my head that,
Yeah.
and now I don't. And I've come to a place of acceptance, but I think I'm only in a place of acceptance because of all the stuff that's gone on. And I can laugh about that, but I can imagine that if somebody is in this situation right now and what they see in the mirror is not what is truly reflected back, and they're emotionally eating and they're punishing themselves and whatever, then I do totally get it, and I'm allowed to laugh at myself because I was completely bonkers, being bonkers in lots of areas, but I was completely and utterly crazy. My mind was not in the right place. So what? I mean, I couldn't. The only advice I would give someone is to explore in their journal and to ask that question: do I love myself enough to? So if someone comes to you and they're in that place, or even if they didn't come to you, like, what would be your first piece of advice? Mine is, ask that question and journal. Sorry, I've got a little face between my legs now.
I think there's a number of things, but the one that comes up to me would be to be aware of how you speak to yourself.
Right.
And so I would sort of encourage you, through the power of journaling, when you're in those darker places, those lower places, to be aware of the things that you say, and not just the words. So I would encourage you to write down those negative phrases that you say to yourself, because sometimes looking at them, on pen on paper is like, holy shit, do I really say that? In terms of just pushing it aside. But also think about the tone and the harshness of your voice. And then really it's about inviting yourself to think about how you might speak to, this is like a classic one really, speak to your best friend or a loved one. Would you say those phrases, use those tones to someone that you really cared about? And typically, of course we wouldn't. So that lends itself to questions like, why do you not deserve to be spoken to to be spoken to kindly? Why do you feel, what's holding you back from all of this? And actually starting to work on, underneath what's going on, the attachments they might have to your past experiences. Hey, Ferdy. Hello. Ferdy agrees. I'm doing this, I don't know why. Oh, he agrees.
Sorry, guys.
Because dogs give love unconditionally. They don't care what they look like, do they? They don't criticize each other. And I do often think about that, No,
I do too. They don't look in the mirror and say, does my bum look big in this, or any of that stuff. They're just so loving and accepting. Mel,
I think you need to let him out.
You finish talking. If he starts to bark again, then I will do an abrupt end of session. I mean, we're drawing to an end anyway.
Yeah, we are. I just think in terms of exploring where these phrases have come from, where have you heard them, what are you attaching them to? Also, how can we kind of start to rewrite them? I'm just keeping going, Dale. How can we rewrite them? And I think when we look at, say, a body image spectrum, at one end it is the loathing and the hate. And at the other end, it's kind of the self-love and the full body liberation. I think to move from one side of the spectrum to the other is a massive leap. I'm not saying it's not possible, but can we find a place of acceptance in the middle? So for me, that's neutralizing things. That's being conscious of the very negative descriptive words that we use. And let's say, I hate my fat arms, right? I have arms. So it may well be challenging yourself to look at yourself and to not allow yourself to use those negative critical words and just go, let's just describe what I see. I have arms. You might have a squidgy tummy. You might have a round bottom. But do you see that those words are not negative, they're not attacking. And familiarizing yourself to become more accepting of that unloaded language.
I tell you who just came into my mind was it Gokwan, who used to say, is it a muffin top? And that always sounds like kind of cute to me. it wasn't that you got a fat tummy. It's just like, oh, ladies, if you've got a little bit of a muffin top, then what we'll do is and it just it calms it down. Makes it.
I love that he used to talk about people's spectacular bangers, didn't he? He was pretty boob obsessed.
It's a great, but he's used to being with women and their bodies all the time, and really understanding of it. And I love that we've got people like that in society who help us, like you said, for that acceptance. Right, Mel, the other thing, I'm going to have to go and sort my doglet out. Viewers, poor old Ferd is quite old and a little bit demanding sometimes. So I do need to let him out. He always seems to come alive at night when I want to go to sleep, and then it's up and down, up and down, up and down. But yeah, we need to go and look after my boy. The other thing I was going to say when you were talking about, I have arms or whatever, coming back to the journaling, is to write to your body part in a kind, loving, compassionate way. Mel, thank you so much. Viewers, I'm really sorry about the doglet bit in the middle. I'm giggling because it's kind of strange having a furry thing between your legs making a noise. Always, isn't it? It's like you want to be very professional, and then something happens.
You got a nose between your legs.
I thought I did really well while he was squiggling around, but it's when he started making the noise, it's like, arr, arr. Anyway, Mel, where do we find you?
You can find me on Facebook as me. Do I need to say my name, Dale? As me. And on Instagram is where else I hang out. And my website is wakemannutrition.com. And I just really encourage you to explore this. How do you feel about your body? And if you feel a bit shit about it, it's okay to feel shit about it. You don't have to justify it. But actually, can you work more towards finding that level of acceptance and focusing on what your body can do, appreciating it? I've got some really nice sort of body scans that I've done with my clients before that focus on gratitude. And I think it's just the complete opposite of what the world is saying right now. And I know that work that you do, Dale, through journaling is just amazing. So tell us about you.
So I'm Dale. You can find me at daledarley.com. You can find me on Facebook. I've got lots and lots of journals. I've got the journaling club. I'm actually currently writing a book called Writing to Heal. And a lot of that is exploring. I use the chakras as the energy points in your body, but I use those as kind of like information points and looking at ways that we do talk to different areas of our body and really aligning and bringing that. For me, it's about balance, inner peace and contentment. How do we bring that back into our life? So you can find me in a variety of places. And we'll be back next week. Don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but we'll be back same time, same place.
Yes.
See you then.
See you later. Thank you.
Bye.